Welcome, this is Jeff Lovett, and you have made it to the 5th video in my Basics of Small Business Marketing series. And as I've been promising you, I have saved this topic for last because I think it's probably the most practical lesson in this whole series, and that is how to write a killer ad. Now, if you're like most small business owners, you probably leave the task of writing your advertising copy to someone else, usually the person who sells you the advertising. Well, here's a little secret I want to share with you about letting your ad salespeople write your ads. I know this because I've spent more than 30 years in media sales. Here's the secret. The ad guy is writing copy to please just one person, and that's you. Remember, their main goal is to sell as much advertising as possible and to keep you happy. And that means generic vanilla commercials that are designed to keep business owners happy. Nothing to rock the boat. Just say the name of the business a few times, add the phone number at the end, maybe some peppy music, and bam, you're done. Wouldn't you love to be able to write your own ads? Ads that are much better than the ones that the advertising salespeople write? Well, you can if you know the secrets of what makes a killer ad, and that's what I'm going to talk about during this video. So I hope you'll go grab a pencil and a pad and take some notes, because I promise you that if you use this process when writing your ads, you will see more results. This method works for any type of medium, television, radio, print. It especially works good for Facebook, where people usually decide whether or not they're going to read the ad on a headline alone. Okay, so let's get started. There are 4 steps in writing a killer ad, and I'm going to go over them at the end of the video, so if you don't write them down now, we can make a list then. Step number 1, you have to address your customer's problems in the very first sentence. And here's why. The first thing you're trying to do in your ad is to get rid of all the people who are not interested in buying what you're selling and just talk to the ones who truly are. Now, I know that when you hear that, some of your heads are going to explode, because you think you're supposed to be advertising to everyone. But let me explain this, and you'll understand why this is really the best way to start your killer ad. Now, this is a standard deck of cards. We have 52 cards here, and I want you to imagine these cards are all the people out here who might actually hear or read your ad. How many of these people do you think are actually prospects for your business? 3, 4? It's probably more like 1. Let's just say 1. 1 in 52 actually wants what you're selling, or maybe you have a problem that you can solve for just 1 out of 52. And that's okay. You see, for your ads to really work, you have to cut your prospects away from the herd. We don't care about the 51 people who are going to ignore your ad anyway. I mean, there's nothing you can say to those people if they're not prospects for your business. If they don't want what you're selling, it doesn't matter what you say. They're not going to pay attention to you. Listen, people are doing this all the time. We are bombarded with advertising and marketing messages from the time we get up until the time we go to bed. The average person is exposed to about 3,000 marketing messages a day, and we have to learn to ignore the ones that don't interest us just to preserve our sanity. You're doing this every day, you don't even know it. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I want you to think back to the paper yesterday and tell me if you can remember one ad in the paper yesterday. Or maybe you watched the Today Show this morning. I want you to remember just one ad you saw. You probably can't remember any of them unless it was something that you really wanted, or they were able to solve a problem that you have. Now, if you're in the market to buy a car, you will scour the car ads in the paper from the top to the bottom. If you aren't shopping for a car, you completely ignore the car ads. I mean, you ignore them, as in you don't even see them. So the first step to writing a killer ad is to start with a qualifying question or a statement. And here's an example from one of my favorite product categories, chiropractors. Headline goes like this: if you have neck pain that keeps you awake at night, I can make it go away. With that one sentence, you have lost all the people out here that don't have neck pain. If you don't have neck pain, why would you even keep listening to the ad? The ad doesn't apply to you. But if you do have chronic neck pain and it does keep you awake at night, then you're going to listen. And you're going to listen very, very closely. This is your prospect. This person is the one that you want to talk to. And that very first statement, you now have their attention. All right, step number 2. You now have to tell them why you're the very best person to solve their problem. This is the biggest part of the ad. The next few sentences must prove that you are qualified uniquely to solve whatever the problem is. Remember the video where we talked about your unique selling proposition a couple weeks ago? Well, this is where you're actually going to put it to work. You've got the lady with the neck pain's attention now, so you have to tell her what makes you uniquely qualified to make her pain go away. Why are you going to do a better job at solving her problem than the guy down the street? Maybe you have a neck decompression secret that you discovered while on sabbatical in Tibet that nobody else knows but you and a couple of monks. Tell her about it. You see, your competition is talking to your prospects too. The chiropractor across town has a different technique that he uses, so You have to convince the lady with a bad neck that yours is better. Now listen, don't lie. If you embellish your abilities or make promises that you just can't keep, your prospects are going to discover it, and then they will gleefully share it with everyone they know, in person, on Facebook. Just tell the truth. Toot your own horn, that's okay, but tell them exactly what you can and can't do. Okay, so step one is to address your customers' problems right at the very start. The next step is to tell your prospects why you're uniquely qualified to solve their problem. And now step number three, you have to make an offer to people. If you want people to not just see your ads, but actually respond to them, you have to make them an offer. Your picture and your photo does nothing to help people decide to buy from you. I'm sure it's a beautiful picture, and I'm sure your phone number probably spells out a catchy word, but I hate to break this to you, your customers really don't care. They only care about themselves, and what they want to know is what you can do for them. If they do get all the way to the end of your ad, you better make them an offer or they will go somewhere else. People respond to offers. I offer to sell you an apple, you say yes or you say no. That's the way commerce works. So after you've convinced them that you're the very best person to solve their problem, you want to force them to make a decision right there. Here's what I'm offering you. They say yes or they say no. Now for our chiropractor friend, his ad now sounds like this. If you have neck pain that keeps you awake at night, I can make it go away. This is Dr. Bob, and I spent years in Tibet learning a secret method of getting rid of neck pain. Here's how it works. I do this, I do that. I've helped more than 2,000 people get rid of their neck pain for good, and you can read lots of my testimonials on my website, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. You've convinced them that you know what you're doing, and now comes the critical point in your ad. You have to make them an offer. For Dr. Bob, it might be something like, right now I'll give you the first session of my super duper neck pain stopping treatment absolutely free. And if you don't go home and sleep like a baby afterwards, then come back and I'll give you the rest of the treatments free too. Now, if you have neck pain, how in the world are you going to say no to that? Probably not, because Dr. Bob got your attention with the very first sentence of this ad, convinced you that he's the best person to solve your problem, made you a killer offer. But you're not done quite yet. Now, if you skip this last part, your ad will fall flat. Step number 4 is to tell your prospect exactly what you want them to do. For Dr. Bob, it might be telling people to go to a website that is set up just for this ad called drbobscure.com. Remember, you want to tell people exactly how you want them to respond to the ad. Don't make them guess, and don't make it real complicated. Don't give them a bunch of things to choose from. Give them one way to respond, maybe two, a phone number, a website. Make sure it's memorable because they're probably not going to call you right away. So for Dr. Bob, it might be call 1-800-DR-BOB. And that's it. My 4-step method for creating a killer ad. Now you'll notice there's no car chases or no guys that are dressed up like Elvis screaming at you on TV. If you say the right things, you don't need all that stuff. And I didn't say you had to go out and buy time on the biggest radio station in town. The main reason that ad campaigns fail is not because of placement, but because of a weak, boring message that doesn't do anything to convince people to buy, and it doesn't even qualify people when they do hear it. Okay, so here's the 4 steps one more time. If you want to write them down, you need to grab a piece of paper and pencil. Here they are again. Step number 1, address your customer's problems right at the very beginning. Remember, you're trying to cut your customer away from the herd. That's the whole idea of step number 1. Step number 2, tell them why you're uniquely qualified to solve their problem. Be specific. Your training, something that you do or something you sell that nobody else does, testimonials. Step number 2 is about persuasion. Step number 3, make them an offer. Remember, people respond to offers. Make it something that's irresistible if you really want it to work. And finally, step number 4, tell them exactly how you want them to respond. One simple, easy to remember method. Don't give them 4 telephone numbers, a fax number, a web address, and 3 emails. They're not going to remember all that. Just one simple step. And that's it. How to write a killer ad. Now I want you to try it and then let me know how it works for you. You can leave a comment on this video or send me an email and tell me what you think about this method. I definitely am open to suggestions and improvements because I really want this to work for everyone. Hey, thanks for watching. The response to this video series has been so great that I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to introduce a new series of marketing videos starting next week. We're going to be talking about ways that you can market your business for free, or at least for just a few dollars. If your marketing budget is so tight that you really can't afford to buy ad space, or you just want to learn some new ways to reach out to potential customers that don't cost you any money at all, you want to make sure you start watching the new series next week right here. Hey, thanks for watching my video today, and I look forward to seeing you next time.